Well, that was certainly a surprise. I've been waking up every morning for the last week expecting to see news on an upcoming Direct, but imagine my surprise when I woke up and found the whole Direct just sitting there, just kind of waiting for me. So since this is a thing that apparently happened, let's talk about it. My general thoughts, what parts of it I liked, and the one part I really, really didn't like. If you've been following me on Twitter, you'll know that I was right about some stuff surrounding this Direct and wrong about some stuff. A lot of people were expecting a really big thing with a whole lot of games like last year, but the thing is, like, last year, at the time of the January event, we didn't know anything about any games. We knew about Zelda, and that was it. So naturally, Nintendo had, like, a million games to announce to us. This time, we already knew about so many games from 2018 and beyond. So, like, I really was not expecting much. I felt like people were hyping themselves up a little bit too big. And in the end, I was right. And in fact, I think even I over-predicted how much big stuff they would have. They really didn't have anything that big at all, but we'll talk about that later. The thing I was wrong about was the date and the surprise nature of the Direct. The 10th rolls around, and I'm just like, you know what? They're not gonna do a Direct with this little notice. They're not gonna just drop it on us. They're not gonna be like, oh, it's out in 12 hours. You know, I thought they'd want to give us some notice so that we'd all have time to tune in. And then there was like all the weird tweets, how like Nintendo was like, they tweeted a Chibi Robo thing and a Tomodachi Life thing, and everybody was like, oh, it's because those games were announced in sudden surprise directs, and that's pointing to this being a sudden surprise direct. And I'm like, no. Apparently they were right. Those people were completely right. It is still hard for me to wrap my head around the idea that that's what Nintendo was communicating with those tweets, but I guess they were. That's probably it, because that's what they did. So I was wrong about that one. I woke up this morning and there it was. But now for the Direct itself. It started out with The World Ends With You, and I don't know a lot about the game. I never played it, but I did hear it was really good, and it looked really good, so I think they had like an iOS port at some point. I don't really know, but I know it was a DS title, and now it's getting a new life on Switch, and that's just cool. Like any old game that was really cool, put it on Switch, you know me, just throw it on there, so that's cool. A couple of these games I don't really have any opinions on. I'm gonna skip over. Let's see, Pokken Tournament has some new fighters. That's pretty cool. I don't really play that game, but I don't know. I bet the people that do are happy to get new fighters. I hope they're reasonably priced DLC. That's all I can say. Kirby Star Allies looking as fun as ever. The new abilities they showed off were pretty cool, and I love how you can mix and match them all. I don't know, it looks fun. I haven't played a Kirby game in like a trillion years, like since the Game Boy, but I'm kind of looking forward to playing this one. I really hope I can review it when it comes out, and it was nice to finally get a date. Good to see we'll be playing that in just a few months. So Hyrule Warriors, what an interesting one. I'm putting a card in the corner right now of my Wii U to Switch to port or not to port video. I talked about like pretty much all like the potential Wii U games and whether or not they will get ported over to Switch. I thought Hyrule Warriors was not very likely just because they already put it on 3DS. Apparently that didn't matter at all. Apparently that was not a hurdle for them. They were just like, I don't know, put it on Switch too. Why not? So hey, there you go. And you know, any of these ports, all ports are good. Like, I just say it now. I've said it before. I like ports. They're not usually handled by like a main team. They're not wasting resources on making ports. So port away. Port all you want. And you know what? I kind of wanted this on Wii U, but I never got around to it. And copies are still really expensive. And then like 3DS, I just didn't want it on 3DS. It looked like kind of a lesser, I don't know, the experience was a little bit less, you know. So this is cool. Like, I've been wanting to try it out, so now I have a whole new reason to do it, and it's on the Switch, got all the DLC, so that looks pretty cool. Mario Tennis Aces. This was the first really interesting thing about this Direct. Like, it is the first Mario Tennis game since the Game Boy Advance version to have a story mode. And this is huge. This is more of that new Nintendo thing. Like, this is what the Switch is turning. I mean, it's just Mario Tennis. A lot of people, I don't know, it's just Mario Tennis. What are you going on about? Yeah, but it's bringing back a mode, an aspect of the games that hasn't been in the games in like forever, but the fans really wanted and they were all asking for, at least from my perspective. I don't know about like deeper Mario Tennis communities or what they want, but it seemed like people wanted that story mode back. It just makes the game better. And again, with yet another series, Nintendo brings it to the Switch and goes, hey, look, we finally listened and we brought back the thing that made the game better. So like, that is really cool. I thought that was really neat. I mean, compared to the Mario Tennis on Wii U, which just looked so boring. Like, it just did not need to exist at all. It was just a Mario Tennis game. Now they're just like, yeah, this is interesting again. This is cool. So I loved that. I just loved seeing that. The Mario update. That's really cool. I'm really happy to see that, you know, this is the first announcement of any sort of DLC type thing for Mario Odyssey, and it's free, and it looks kind of fun. I don't know if it's the sort of thing that I will get into. I might play around with it a little bit, but it's certainly a really fun idea. Just hiding balloons around and having other people online find them, going and find other people's balloons. Like, that's just a fun little thing. It's a fun little reason to get back into the game and be getting good at zipping around everywhere, and it's very competitive, and I think it's just it's fun that they thought to include that. It's fun that they just got it in their head, hey, let's do this and let's make it free. So there you go. Mario and Rabbids, they're adding in Donkey Kong as a playable character, which I think is really cool. They could have just added a new world and a new story. It's awesome that they're also adding a new character. I haven't played any of the DLC yet. I haven't bought the expansion pass or whatever they're calling it. But that looks pretty cool. Like, it sounds like a pretty good amount of content. And Donkey Kong, I'm really excited to see what kind of stuff he does. It looks, just from the teaser trailer, like he probably has the ability to, like, throw dudes around, because he, like, throws Rabbid Peach up onto the ledge. I just really hope he's a good enough character to, like, want to actually use him, whereas most of the characters in the base game are just kind of like, you used, like, 3, and they'll just use those 3 the whole entire time. And one thing I really do hope about this is that the story is a little more like, the game kind of stops, and I feel like there's a lot of things that could have been wrapped up, but they're just kind of not. It's kind of like you beat the last boss and it's just kind of over, and none of the chaos is really fixed or anything. It's just, so I don't know. I hope this is a continuation, kind of wraps things up a little more. Faye is interesting. I remember seeing that at E3, and it looked pretty. It looks pretty cool. It's one of those one of those EA published games that says, please don't view us as a cold corporate entity. Please think that we like making pretty games too, or, you know, at least publishing them. I don't know, that's kind of a whole thing. It certainly looks beautiful. It's cool to see that it's coming to the Switch, and it pretty much proves that one leaked little, I don't know, inner office memo or whatever you would call it, recently was, it was true. There was a little thing that was like talking about, EA was talking about how the Nintendo thing will come out in January, and that's when we'll talk about Faye. So yeah, I guess that was real. Tropical Freeze at last, just like in my ports video I was just talking about. That was the #1 Wii U game that I'm pretty much just like, it's gotta be a sure bet. Like, it's such a natural fit on the Switch. You got the 2-player co-op. It's just, I don't know. It's just perfect, and it was an amazing game that just didn't reach enough people because it was on the Wii U, and not a lot of people had Wii U. So that's really cool because, as I have said probably multiple times, it is the best 2D platformer I've ever played. Just ever. It's just the most fantastically designed, and it's really, really neat to finally be able to play it on the Switch and just have that many more people trying it out. So that's really exciting. And I was talking about the upcoming Direct with a friend of mine, and they made the joke that the big reveal was going to be Cranky Kong, because that was, like, you know, I've talked about that. They did that back at the back at the Video Game Awards several years ago, when, like, their big reveal thing was that Cranky Kong would be in Tropical Freeze, and they were kind of a laughing stock. Like, a lot of people were just like, really? That's the big news that you brought? So they made that joke. And so when I saw Funky Kong jump out of the plane, I was laughing pretty hard. Like, it's not the same thing, even almost. The reveal was that the game is coming, but just still, when I saw that it was like, oh, it's not Cranky Kong, it's Funky Kong, that was really funny. But that looks cool. It's interesting that he's, like, basically easy mode. It's like every time they make a ported version of these games, they add in stuff to, like, make it easier for I guess new players. And in this time, instead of adding in items, they just added in, like, an easy mode character. So, like, I don't know, if he's available right off the bat, it looks like he makes the game really ridiculously easy. So it's kind of like, I don't know, you kind of have to, it's like a self-imposed limitation. If you say, oh, I want this game to actually be challenging, I have to not use him. I don't know, it's kind of weird. But it's cool that that at least the option is there. Also, come on, Funky Kong, we're playing as Funky Kong. I mean, who has not wanted to play with Funky Kong basically their entire life? Like, before they even played their first Donkey Kong game, I'm sure. Even then, they wanted to play as Funky Kong. They just didn't know it yet. Then we had Dark Souls. I have not played Dark Souls, but I know a lot of people are super duper into Dark Souls. So that's cool. That's gonna come to Switch. That's gonna be one of those things. And it's cool that it's the remastered version. I don't know a lot about that. I assume it's getting remastered for the other systems or something instead of just being a port. So I don't know, that's pretty all right. It's I hope there's a lot of additional content or something in the remastered version, because it's like, I don't know, this game is like $10. Like, you know, I just really hope it's not going to launch at full price. I'm almost certain it will. Everything else has been recently, but I don't know. It's very old, and there are many sequels, and the original game is like, yeah, I don't know. I've seen it on sale for like $10 like so many times. So I don't know. It wasn't like the most exciting thing in the world for me, but I know a lot of people are so into the game, and they like its replayability is so high that it's just having it in handheld form is it's a pretty big deal for them. So I'm definitely happy, and I was really happy to see a date. I'm so sick of games that get announced for like a few months in the future and yet still don't have a date. It's like, why do you, how can you like be announced in winter for spring and you still don't have a date? Give us a date. So I was really happy to see they give us a solid date. Also, same thing, I forgot to mention, Donkey Kong. They give us a date. Thank you. Thank you for not just leading us on forever. If it's coming out this holiday, I don't mind, just say holiday. But if it's coming out in a few months, please, just pick a date and stick to it. So that's all the stuff that I had any opinion at all on. So now to the one thing that I did not like. I did not like that it was a surprise. I did not like that at all. I know that was like part of the fun, and like on paper, that kind of surprise direct is like kind of a fun idea. But you know what that meant for me? The only thing that the surprise nature of it accomplished for me was spoiling everything. Cause I couldn't go on the internet and even find the thing without getting everything spoiled. Naturally, I go to like Nintendo Life to check Nintendo news to see if there's any news about the Direct, and instead of like, oh, here's a Direct, it's just like Dark Souls, Donkey Kong, just like everything, just like you can't, your eye just grabs onto it. There's no way to not see it. So like even just navigating to watch the video, in the thumbnail on the video itself shows Donkey Kong and all this stuff. Dark Souls is on the side of the screen. You go to Twitter, every single hashtag is just everything. So there were like no surprises at all. And I hated that. I like the whole fun of a Nintendo Direct for me is the surprises. I just love the surprises, where even if I don't care about a game that much, I can still just have the fun that it was a surprise. But there were none. It was impossible to avoid all the spoilers before I could even watch the stupid thing. So I did not like that. I did not like that one single little bit. And it makes me wonder, what's the point of a Direct at all? Or like within the Direct, like they had the little teaser for Dark Souls where like, oh, it starts out and you're like, oh, I wonder what this, something wicked this comes or something, and it's all dark and spooky, and then like eventually it reveals itself to be a teaser for Dark Souls. What was the point of even having a teaser if it is impossible for a person to navigate to the video without having it spoiled? That's why you stream stuff. That's why you stream it, so we can all see it as it happens and be caught up in the surprise. Anyway, I know that's a long tirade about something probably most people don't even care about, but I really, really cared. I really do. I just wanted some surprises, and I basically didn't get any. Also, and obviously not as many people are going to be able to relate to this, but I didn't like this format as a YouTuber. So like, it came out hours before I even saw it, so I didn't get to do commentary. I wanted to do, you know, the thing where I record it and record my own reaction and commentary to it, so I didn't get to do that. I had to start immediately on this video, and it's hard to plan for like any subsequent videos after that when they just like drop it on us. I want at least a couple days to plan for what I'm gonna do, and then I had another video that was gonna come out today, but I had to push that because it would get overshadowed by this one. And it just, yeah, I don't know, just kind of, it's very disruptive to my schedule, you know? But yeah, I know that's a very small nitpick, so moving on. Overall thoughts, it was pretty good. Like, I mean, you know, they announced a good number of really good games. Like I said, ports are good. Put all the ports you want on the system. That's just more good games to play on the system, especially for people who might not have gotten those games the first time around, or even if they did and just want to play a handheld. Like, every game on the Switch is justified because it is a game on the Switch that you can now play on the go. It was solid, some cool announcements, but it is a little worrying that there wasn't at least one big thing. You know, like, I feel like they needed at least one. I knew not to expect a lot, but what I didn't expect was basically nothing as far as like new big Nintendo projects go. And that makes me feel like this year is, I don't know, I feel like there's not a lot is gonna end up happening. It's like this year, of what we know of it so far, it feels a lot like the Wii U's library, like as a whole. Like really solid, lots of really good solid games, but nothing hugely exciting, nothing that's gonna sell systems all on its own, you know? And that's not like super terrible, especially after last year, but just the one. I feel like there should have just been one big thing, and like, sure, they could announce something at E3, and now I'm like really, really hoping that E3 gives us something big, but that feels a little less likely because like last year's E3 revealed like most of the new announcements at E3 were for things that were 2018 and beyond. Like the other stuff was just them talking about games that were already announced. So it's like if they're announcing it at E3, it's probably not coming within that year. So I don't know if they are going to announce anything this E3 that's big. Like, what's going to be the big holiday thing? That simple idea right there is making me think that Pokemon is more likely, because like I've said, they often like to not announce those super far ahead of time, and they have to have something for this Christmas season. So that's making me think that that's the kind of thing they could announce at E3. So like now, I don't know. I'm much more convinced that a Pokemon will come out this year just because of this mini direct. And like, yeah, they could announce something at a direct in April or something, but they don't usually announce really, really big system seller stuff in those like, you know, spring, fall directs. So I don't know. And it's also worrisome and or annoying that they still haven't talked about like this felt like the time to talk about the online or the virtual console, at the very least the online. Like we've been waiting for so long that now it's getting kind of it's getting ridiculous. Like where is it? This was it. You know, they didn't want to pull attention away from all the holiday stuff. We get that. So this was the first thing after the new year starts, and just like still nothing. Like it starts to feel like it's never gonna come. I don't know, maybe that's what they'll do at E3. But then like E3 is too late in the year. Like we want it now. So maybe in April. I don't know, whatever. Just kind of weird, just kind of surprising. Also, I am really surprised that people aren't more upset by this direct. Like people were expecting so much. All the rumors, they're just like, oh, it's gonna be Metro. Like so many people thought it was gonna be Metroid because of one dumb rumor, and they thought we were gonna see Bayonetta. They thought Animal Crossing was just like totally gonna be there. Fire Emblem, they were expecting so many things, and we got just ports. Like almost all just ports from other systems. Like there was really nothing very big. Great ports, awesome ports, Dark Souls, you know, Donkey Kong, really great stuff, but just like there was nothing really big, and everyone seems fine. They seem fine with it. Like I've seen like a couple tiny little grumbles, but for the most part, people are just excited about it. And that's kind of blowing my mind right now. It must have a lot to do with like just the mindset about the Switch. I thought people were building it up so much that anything other than another January event with a brand new all this stuff was gonna let people down, but instead they were just like, oh, no, it's gonna be Bayonetta, it's gonna be Metroid, it's gonna be all these things, it's gonna be Smash, we're definitely gonna get Smash. And it was just like Donkey Kong and Mario Tennis and Dark Souls, and they were just like, oh, cool, yeah, what a good direct. So, I don't know, I just thought that was really surprising. And I mean, like, I'm happy everyone isn't upset about it, and I know I'm not, because like I said, I wasn't really expecting much, so definitely interesting. Lastly, before we wrap this up, stop paying attention to leaks. They're always wrong. These are always wrong. The only like leak type things that have been true in recent memory are like little things that look like they were released for use inside of a company, like a third-party company. We had the one from EA that was just like, oh, this is when we're gonna reveal that Faye is coming to the system. Okay, that one looked pretty all right. I was like, I don't know, that could be real. That's not very, you know, it's not very unbelievable. And that was true. And then like the Mario and Rabbids one, that one comes out. It looked like a thing just made by Ubisoft for internal purposes, and that one ended up being true too. Like they both were for third-party companies talking about their own games, so that like made them seem a little bit more real, and they did end up being real. But then like the stuff, oh yeah, it's the 5.0. No, this thing right here, nobody has access to like some brand new crazy update for the Switch. No one has access to like nobody saw such a tiny little clip of the direct that they were able to just take a tiny blurry photo and upload it, and that's it. No one has a friend who is working for Nintendo and knows all this stuff ever. Like just like go through life believing that these are never true. It's so easy to just say lies, and it's so easy to just make mock-ups. Well, I don't know about easy. Obviously these people put a lot of work. I mean, this is amazing. Look at this. This is really, really amazing. But still, it's just like it's always fake. It's pretty much always fake. So don't put a lot of thought into it. And I know it's just fun. I know a lot of people like to get excited about it because it's fun. It's just funny. Like there was so much hype surrounding this direct. There were so many fake leaks and so many things going on that it was just kind of crazy. And then it comes and it's a mini direct with some ports, and it's just like, and that was it. It's just like all that stuff, it's all out the window. Everything you heard about what was going to be in it, every single individual thing, they're all out the window now. They were all wrong. They were all lies. Don't you see they're lying? Their words are poison. Do not listen to them anymore. So that's that. The Kings of Left Field strike again. Am I right? Like, whatever anyone thinks about this direct, I don't think a whole lot of people knew exactly what it was going to be. I don't think they quite expected this, but that is that Nintendo thing. So tell me what you thought about this whole thing down in the comments below, and if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go and, I'm going to go edit this video. You got to get this stuff out fast. Got to stay topical.